Assalamu alaikum to everyone present here. I thank the National Women's Front for inviting me today among such amazing sisters, such courageous sisters. It's an honor to be invited to this gathering. I would like to begin after Arya's appeal to all of you to raise your voices for them, to stand in true solidarity with these girls. Usually what happens is, even in the hijab issue, initially when the issue was at its peak in the beginning of February, it saw a lot of outrage, a lot of protests, a lot of social media hype surrounding the issue. But later on, as this happens with a lot of issues, that after a point it reaches a low. But unfortunately here we see that just last week these girls came out on social media informing everyone that they had to miss their final practical examination, which is a very big deal, and we all know that. This was a hard reality and a practical consequence that they faced because of this 2 years, 2 months of controversy surrounding the hijab. But even after this news came out, the outrage that we saw for it, the hype surrounding it was almost negligible. We, as a community, though we stand with them in solidarity, we feel for them, but I believe that there needs to be a more organizational and sustained response against such laws and in support of these girls. The fact that we do not even know how many girls have missed their exams. There is no proper statistic. The day that Arya and 2 of her classmates missed the final practical examination, it was the final practicals for the whole state in Karnataka. And a lot of girls in Karnataka are wearing the hijab. But we do not know how many of them missed the examination. We don't have that number. And we do not even try to pursue to know how many of them missed it and what should be done about it. Though this is something that will directly affect them, it will directly affect the amount of effort they put into studying this entire year. Despite this, there was a sort of lull and lack of outrage when it came to this particular issue. What I'm trying to highlight is that apart from solidarity, apart from appreciating them, apart from feeling proud that we have such courageous sisters amidst us, there is a need to genuinely stand in support of them, always, consistently, without tiring. These girls, as mentioned by her, after they stood up against this hijab ban, they have been facing continuously different types of harassment from different authorities, whether it is the college authorities, whether it is the men or the students from their own colleges heckling them, like we saw in the viral video, whether it is FIRs being filed against them, and so many other such things. And what was a very serious offense that came about was their personal details, including their complete house address, being tweeted at a public platform by the official BJP Karnataka Twitter page. The complete address of each of these 6 girls put out in a public platform like that. We can imagine the sort of consequences that would lead to. So they are facing real-time consequences that would directly affect them. And they are prepared, they are strong, but what is necessary is for us to be equally and as strongly as they are standing beside them. Coming to this aspect of online harassment, just like how the BJP official Twitter page made use, like they have obviously so many followers and it is an official page and they put it out there, it was accessible to the public. This sort of move, like usually security, safety for women was something that we would only talk about in public spaces. We would feel that your safety can be infringed in a public space. But then what we saw in the 2 years of the pandemic is that this whole harassment has moved digital. So of course we saw the auctions. Apart from that, there is also this very, I would say, disgusting trend by the right wing and its supporters. There's a lot of explicit, vulgar content that is aimed at humiliating Muslim women, put outrightly on open platforms like Reddit, like YouTube, and it's out there, it's uncensored, there are people viewing it, it's gaining traction, and it is extremely explicit, filthy content aimed Muslim women. And this is happening at the online space, but there are real people viewing it, sharing it. This raises the question on how safe we as Muslim women are in public spaces when there are people with such mentality around us. While we are living in situations where we could face serious consequences, serious threats to our security, we as a community need to ideate on providing strong responses and sustain consistent strong responses as a counter to these threats against us. We also need to be careful about the people who are speaking on behalf of us in national media and who are driving this public discourse on Muslim women. What we saw during the hijab ban again was, though this rhetoric has reduced, we saw during the hijab ban that even now a lot of people are arguing on national media about the fact that the hijab is oppressive, which is an already old narrative which has already been continually countered, and still such narratives are given space in national media platforms by people who are claiming to be in solidarity with Muslim women. And they are talking in national media saying that yes, the hijab is oppressive, but then this women still have the choice. We need to be careful, we need to make sure that we speak for ourselves, that we define what safety for a Muslim woman is, and not let our voices be snatched by people who do not share our lived experiences, and we should not allow them to define what safety is for us and what threat against safety is for us. We need to define our own standards, and we need to present it in an appropriate manner. And this was very effectively done by the girls in Udupi, in contrast to, for example, just to briefly touch on the triple talaq issue, in which a similar thing happened, in which a lot of supposedly liberal voices came out talking against how the triple talaq itself is problematic and completely ignored the political agenda of the BJP in bringing about the law, which is a similar thing that they tried to do with the hijab ban. But we had extremely strong voices from the girls who spoke for themselves why they want to wear it, that they would wear it, and that it is in no way a hindrance for them. This is something, as already mentioned before, their resistance is an example to the entire community on how even just 6 of them could bring about such a huge change. As also mentioned before, there is a lot of low self-esteem among the community, a feeling of helplessness, a feeling of hopelessness, that we're never going to achieve our rights, our dignity. But this example should pave the way for all of us to believe that change is possible. But we also need to be careful in the way they did it. They put out their own voices. They made sure that the narrative is not exploited, though they tried to exploit the narrative, but then they were headstrong in their approach. And lastly, I would conclude by saying that there is a need for an organized and continually sustained response from the community. We need to be with them always, because they are fighting the fight every day. Literally every day they have something coming at them. Literally every day. And it's again not just them, it's so many other girls, and we don't even know how many girls. That is the worst part. We don't even know how many, because it is difficult to get the logistics. Even the day after the interim order from the High Court was sent, we had media persons at certain districts. We got some videos and we got a fair idea of what was happening. But we still don't know the extent of the harassment, because there are so many government schools, so many government colleges in each and every district, so many hijab-wearing girls, and we don't even know the extent of the harassment. So it is necessary for us to collectively organize and provide an appropriate response. It is also important that we realize that the onus of what is happening to us is not on us. The onus of what is happening is on the majority community that is enabling this, that is quiet. They are responsible for this. We as a community, we are defending our right, we are defending and we are fighting for our rights, but the responsibility to make sure that the rights of the minority in this country is respected lies on the majority, but sadly they are quiet and they are largely responsible and their silence is largely responsible for what is happening and the infringement on the dignity of Muslim women in the country.